All right. Well, and Johnny will try to go over the top 10 issues of Tsoiotsi Tsogalii 70. That's the Old North State Council in Greensboro, North Carolina. One of the things I thought we would do first is, let me see how, is go through a little brief history of the lodge. This is the only merged lodge in North Carolina, and it came from the mergers of Tsoiotsi that was in Greensboro, Lodge 70, the Uwharrie Lodge 208, and Tsogalii Lodge 163. Well, in 1992, Tsoiotsi and Uwharrie lodges merged to form Tsoiotsi 70, and that's probably one that it would hard to get be a top 10 issues because I'm not sure they had 10. You'd have to include event patches. That one was short-lived with only 2 years before Cherokee Council merged in and Tsogalii Lodge and formed Tsoiotsi Tsogalii. And that is a Cherokee word meaning we three are friends. So our top 10, starting with number 10, will be at number 10, I've got our S3, which was the 97 conclave issue. And it is really just the standard issue flap at that point in time with a yellow border on it. The thing that this one has kind of always been one that was harder to get because they were all issued at the conclave and I guess traded or went home, and you just don't see them that often. They've could or have been a favorite for a while among collectors, and to the point where there are two fakes of this one. And if you look at this here, you see that the real S3 is on the top. The ZS1, the biggest thing, as you can see, is the round eye in it. It's got a real round eye. It's almost scary looking. And if you measure them, the fleur-de-lis is a little bit large, a little taller than the real S3. And then there was a second fake that came out, and the big thing with it is you can see it's just the feathers and everything are light brown, and the logs they didn't quite get dark enough brown thread in that one. And there again, the eye is different. It almost got a lot of black, and it's just like a vertical line. For number 9, on this one, no one individual piece of this is that big a deal. That the center, the R2, is a fairly commonly round that was issued by our AIA group, and this whole series was set up to encourage participation in the AIA. The real difficulty with this one and what makes it kind of unique is getting all of the segments. These were all issued for different things you participated in, and like I say, getting them all was tough. I think originally all I had was the R2 and the Elder rocker. So I was fortunate to come across the rest of them at some point because they were earned pieces. For number 8 is our 2018 conclave. This was the Service Lodge staff flap, the S70, and these were issued one per staff member. I just don't see these available very often, and when they do, they, for our flaps, have a decent price for them, but I just never see them really available. I've never had a dupe of this particular flap. They produced 300 of them, and I'm not sure where they're all at. Um, I'll leave it at that. Number 7. This was our first Alangamat set, and it was issued in 1996 to help, just like a lot of lodges, motivate people to be Alangamats. And each time that you served as an Alangamat, you got one of the sections, and this is the X2, the X3, and the X4. The X2 is in the upper left corner, which is the Hawk Wing, and the X3 is the upper right with the mountains and the WWW. And then, of course, the X4 is the body. That's kind of what each of the segments looks like individually. For number 6 is our 2006 NOAC, and there were two-piece sets for this particular NOAC, and this one won a national design contest by the the American Indian Affairs program at that NOAC. And I'm not sure how many of these were produced, but I just don't ever see them come around and be available. This one I liked just because of the artwork, and it's I guess that's the reason it won the contest at NOAC that year. Number 5 is the Silver Mylar AeroCore 5 issue, and what makes this one so special, they're only produced 100 of it, and you can see below the other two, the black border one was kind of a trader, and I think they produced 500 or 600 of that particular one, and then the red border was the delegate issue, and they produced 200 or 300 of that. But the only way you got the Silver Mylar one was to buy the set of 3 2-pieces for $60. And that one I very rarely see available unless somebody buys a collection and has it for sale. I've never had a dupe of that one. Number 4 is one of my favorites of the flaps that we've had. It was our S5 that was our 98 conclave delegate, nicknamed the Snowbird. They had a Christmas theme that year. This one, I think, has always been a popular flap just because it's an attractive flap. It's got good colors. It's just a cool flap. These were also all issued or sold at the conclave, and they really weren't available after the conclave, so they kind of got scattered out pretty quick. And you find them, they're out there, but it's still one of my favorite flaps. The youth, if you bring one of these out, they love it, and so that's why it kind of fell in at number 4. Our number 3 issue is our F1, which was our Wilmington flap that was issued to Alangamats that had 30% of their plan convert to brotherhood within 18 months. This is a felt background on the flap, and this one also has a fake, and it's probably one of the best fakes I've seen. You can see the real F1 and the ZF1, and if you look at the front of it, I've had several people look at these, and you really can't tell it from the front. You got to look at the back, and you can see where the border tag is. On the real one, when you turn it over, it's in the upper right corner, and the fake is in the left. And I've had, say, several people look at these, and that's the only way I know of to really tell the fake from the real one. Our number two issue is one that it seems I get a lot of requests to find for people, and that is our S61, which was our second Alangamat set that came out. And all of these are hard, but I kind of put them together as a set. And it's the same as the other. With each time that you served as an Alangamat, you got a new segment. I think you started with the flap and then went to the two pieces of the chevron. And what is kind of really unique with this one, this was done in 2015. We started this new series. And the real gem in this one is this X32. That was only issued in 2015 for the centennial, and only for the ones that served during that year. There may have been a few that went into a little bit of a later year, but that one is the one that is hard to come by. A good story. I was missing that one, and wasn't sure. You just didn't see it any, and I ran across a friend of mine that had one, and I asked him if he would like to trade it, and he said sure, and ended up trading for one of our Eagle CSPs to get that one, which was kind of one of those you get lucky every now and then stories. After 2015, the set became this, and you can see the X38 replaced the X32 in the bottom right corner with hawk feathers and the 5 chapter written on the feathers. To have the complete Alangamat set for this, you have the X32 and the X38. And what I have looked at is our number one issue would happen to be our X36, which is the first year Airman Award. This is one that was created in 2019 to help motivate our current lodge or the new lodge members to become active during their first year. They had to complete all their requirements during their first year after their ordeal. In order to get that, and they put in their application prior to the fall fellowship each year. And when it came out in 2019, they also made it available to current lodge members that they could earn this by completing the same requirements during that initial year. This one is hard to come by. It's you have to earn it, and I have not seen an extra one of those available, and would love to get my hands on it, because I know anybody that collects our lodge is probably missing that unless they are a member of the lodge. So that was the top 10. Now, there was a couple others that I felt like deserved a little recognition and would get an honorable mention. The first one of those is our S2. This was the first NOAC of the new lodge in 96, since it was created in 94. And this one is a little different. That's the only flap we've got that's got a flying hawk coming at you. And It actually has held its value fairly decent. It's gone down a little bit in recent years, but that's been a good flap. And if I can get a hold of one at a good price, I'll usually pick it up. Another honorable mention is the S79. This one was at our 2022 conclave issue, and this again was another one. It was a nice, colorful flap. The youth seemed to like it. It traded well, and as a delegate, you got one when you checked in, and the remaining flaps were sold on Saturday morning at 11:30 in the campsite. Well, they were all sold there, and I found myself trading for these to even get one because if I remember correctly, I was helping Johnny with activity he had and kind of forgot to go back to the campsite to get those. So I had to trade for any extras that I had of this one. But that one's still pretty cool flap. Another one I thought that's always been kind of a favorite of mine is this original standard issue. This one happens to be the S19, which was a reorder that was done in 2006. And the only difference between it and all the other S1s that are very plentiful is it has a Scout Stuff backing on it. And this is the only reorder that I'm aware of that had that. And they're a little more rare than the normal S1, but I still like the S1 is one of my favorite issues. It's nice looking flap. A couple of new ones that have come out that I really like, and it's a little. If you look at these next three, there's an attention to the art detail in them, and this one was issued at our 23 Spring Fellowship to encourage all the lodge members to come to the all hands lodge meeting, which is where we went through a lot of the changes from the national organization to the Order of the Era. And everybody that came to that meeting got one, and the extras were you were able to buy 4 additional ones for $10 a piece. Excuse me. And it worked. It got me. That's not typically a time that I can get away from work, but I did go to that meeting and make sure I got my flat. This one was our last conclave, and what I thought was kind of unique, and it's still the same theme, is the artwork. And this one happened to be a 13 color flat. And the good thing is it was a nice looking flat. The bad thing is it costs us $7.50 a flat to get these when most of the other lodges were getting them at $4 or $5. And so there's a little bit of we were getting they traded well, but we were getting the short end of the stick a lot of times. And kind of the same thing with this one, which was our summer camp issue. And this one I thought was a very pretty flap. But again, it sold for $7.50, and I think it's got 12 different colors in it. And that's pretty much it for the issues. So I think now we can go to questions.